Okay, welcome everybody. This is the first Hangout on Air for the CSP4HS course, and we will get started just in a moment. There is about a minute delay from what we're saying now and what you are possibly seeing on your YouTube channel. So we will begin in just a moment here, and we'll kick off with some initial introductions and initial comments, and then be able to take some questions from you all as well. I'm hearing feedback. Okay, so I think we are catching up, so we're close. What I'd like to do is to begin with just give an intro of what we do in the Hangouts on Air, and we want to make sure that everybody understands that the Piazza posts is different than the actual course main site. So you'll get the course materials and all the lessons off of the CSP-CS4HS.appspot page, and Piazza is where we're going to post all of our community discussions. So for the Hangouts on Air, we would also like you to please post any comments that you have on Piazza and not on the YouTube channel or any of the Google Plus posts that you may have. So please limit all your discussion to Piazza. And so what we'd like to begin with is a brief introduction to some of the teachers that you've been meeting that are our staff and teaching assistants. So I see Deepa on the far left in my screen. So Deepa, can you introduce yourself to everybody, please?
Hi, my name is Deepa Morality, and I am one of the instructors, lead instructors for the CS Principles course, the MOOC. I have been involved with CS Principles for the last 3 years. I am a high school teacher in Atlanta, Georgia, and I teach at a public school, North Gwinnett High School, where I've piloted it with tremendous success. I have been a computer science teacher for the last 14 years, and it's been one of my personal goals to improve the enrollment of or increase the number of students taking computer science at the K-12 classroom. And that's what I like most about CS Principles, is it has given me a way to sell computer science much better to my students, my administrators, and my parents and the community and my school community. Looking forward to chatting with you guys.
Okay, thank you. Jeff, can you introduce yourself?
Sure. My name is Jeff Baker. I'm a high school teacher, teach in Huntsville High School in Huntsville, Alabama. I teach the AP-CSA course, and I also have piloted for a year the CS Principles course. And I am one of those people that is really new to the computer science education venue. I've only been teaching computer science for 3 years. I was trained as a math teacher, and then I kind of picked up all my computer science skills during summer institutes, and basically did it as an initiative to push more AP classes in our school. So if any of you out there are feeling a little bit nervous or hesitant about teaching the CS Principles course, I was standing in your shoes a year ago. I could totally understand how you feel, and hopefully our job over the next 6 weeks or so will be able to make the course as easy to understand and unpack, and that we can help you be successful in this endeavor.
Okay, thanks, Jeff. Roy, can you say a few things about yourself, please?
Okay, I'm Roy Black. I teach at Lamp High School here in Montgomery, Alabama. I guess I always tell the kids that I am the true computer baby because I was born in 1951 when computers became commercially available. And so my whole life has been the evolution of computers. I was in the Air Force for 20 years in computers, from mainframe to mini to PC. From assembler to COBOL to Ada, and I retired in '92 and I got into software development. And I've really been wanting to help promote computer science, so that's why I started teaching in high school about 14 years ago. So I teach AP Computer Science. Been doing that for several years. This is my second year in Computer Science Principles, and we're having a ball.
All right, thanks everyone. Jill Westerlin is also one of our teaching assistants, but she's unable to make it on this call, and also Mokhtar Hussain. Some of you met him already, and he's also unavailable. But each Friday, just to let you know, we have some surprises in store for you. So in future Fridays, we will have some guest speakers that are very well known in computer science and computer science principles, and we will kind of not reveal who those are. So you'll have to kind of come and see who the mystery speaker is each time. So we won't have that this time. We have a lot of kind of administrative things to get through, but we'll be working on that for the future. So some of them have already confirmed, and we'll do that on future Fridays. So a few apologies. I apologize for being so late on the lessons. There's actually one lesson that I still owe on impact, and that should be coming out by the time you hopefully finish your dinners tonight. So these videos are all shot and ready to go, but we just didn't have everything in place on Tuesday, and we're slowly releasing them out as the participants join the community. So be looking for the final lesson 1 today, and we will begin lesson 2 on Monday. So those lessons will be coming out. Let me see also. So if you are getting Piazza like me, and every post that you make to Piazza, I get an email, and that might be too much for you, there's a way that I described in one of the earlier posts that you can configure Piazza to be able to send it in digest mode. So in that case, you wouldn't get every single post. So look into that if you'd like to reduce the frequency of the emails coming out on Piazza. I just posted a brand new post on the issues of how to get a certificate and some of the requirements for that. So that is now both in the announcements page on the main course and also in Piazza. So if you'd like to learn about the certificates, please check that out. Let's see what else. So I think what we'll do is discuss a little bit about the Hangout concept. We have, this is a brand new idea with us, and we're trying to enable the Hangouts to better engage everybody. So at the very top level, these Hangouts on air are broadcast so that the entire class can hear at a live kind of synchronous meeting. And then we also would like to form smaller groups where you get to know other people in the course. A group could be anywhere from 3 to 10 on a regular Hangout. And then in the future, we're going to introduce the concept of a help out. A help out is more of a one-on-one type of almost a tutoring session in some cases, if you'd like to have that kind of interaction with one of our teaching staff. So I'm going to pass it off to Deepa and let her say a few more words about the Hangout process and some things we're going to do in the future to enable that for everybody. So Deepa, can you say a few words about Hangouts and help outs?
Okay, unmuted myself. Can you guys hear me? Yes? Great. So one of the things that has been very popular this week, leaving us instructors very exhausted, has been the success of the Hangouts. It has been really exciting for us to be able to meet you guys face to face, listen to your interest. Like Roy has been more than excited to know that he spoke to somebody from Bavaria, and the lady came to us. I think it was like middle of the night for her, and Roy was so good enough to tell her that he's going to do a separate hangout for her for a time that would be convenient to her. So trying to make this actually more accessible to everybody, one of the things that we are trying is what is it that's going to make it successful and accessible? So we still have the sign-up forms, and we're going to request you to sign up. We're going to post the timings on all the online events post for each week. And then just before the event starts, we just have a posting saying Hangout starting, and the facilitator is Roy Black. So, in case you're on Piazza and you did not sign up or you forgot, you can now go there. There is just one catch. Hangouts can only take 10 people. So which means we can only accommodate 9 of you besides the facilitator. So if you sign up please know that you are not going to allow somebody who might want to join if they come in late. Because if you have signed up, we guard your spot like it's yours. We will not give it to anybody. So if you have signed up and you plan not to come, let us know and we will remove you from the list. But if you sign up, put it in your calendar and do come. We would love to see you and chat with you. All timings will be on Eastern Daylight Saving Times. I confess, I made the mistake. I confused everybody and so forth. So everything will be consistent. We will go through the MOOC page with a fine-tooth comb, make sure that everything is in EDT, and so we follow EDT. And that resulted in some confusion, some frustrations. Please bear with us. We are excited. We have like 800 plus students signed up and 4 instructors, all enthusiastic, and Jeff working. I think he just hit about 80 hours as of probably half an hour ago. He's hardly been sleeping, trying to get rock solid content. And while so that's the story on that. We will start having help outs next week, and as Jeff told you, we are trying to schedule that. However, if you need something before that, please don't hesitate to post, email, yell, and one of us will be more than happy to come and work with you and get that going. Back to you, Jeff.
Okay, thanks, Deepa. So we'll be looking forward to seeing you guys again on next week with some of the Hangouts. So I'd like to be able to join a few more of those, so I'll try to pop in every now and then and say hi to you. So we have a lot of comments being made on Piazza, so please check out the post. It's called Hangout on Air information, and that's where we would like you to post questions. There's a few questions coming in that we'll be looking at soon. So I forgot to mention at the beginning, so thanks to the state of Illinois. I'm not sure if you heard, but just moments ago, the governor, or some legislative action happened, and Illinois will be counting science and math towards graduation electives. So I think that's kind of like hot news. So if you're listening in from Illinois, congratulations on that. What we'd like to do is have Roy, Jeff, and Deepa lead us into some of the things that they've heard in Hangouts and on Piazza with some of the course content for this past week, what we've learned from the discussion of Jeanette Wing's paper. There was some discussion about Seth Rachelson and his work on recruiting, and just general thoughts about Hangouts and so on, as well as some encouraging words. I'll start off with the encouraging words. We weren't sure what would happen when we released this course. On Tuesday, I personally received 872 emails from everybody. So that's before we had Piazza set up, and I was getting a lot of personal emails and glad to reply when I could, and I apologize if I missed one of them. I'm sorry. I'm trying to go back and see if that was the case. But now that Piazza is running, everything's kind of really going smooth, and the community is kind of taken over. So this was one thing we were curious about, and you all really passed our expectations. So congratulations to you all on really making a community live here. I'm always seeing the posts coming through and you all commenting on each other and even helping each other in some cases. So one thing to point out, we do have a very differentiated group of instructors here. So we have some who've been teaching APCSA for 20 years and some who may have just started writing their first program, if at all. So it would be really great if those of you who have the deep experience already help us on the community, on the Piazza Forum service and leaders, and go ahead and help us answering questions and so on. So with that, I'd like to pass that off and see if Roy, Jeff, and Deepa have some comments they'd like to share, and then after that we'll begin taking some questions from you all that are coming up on the Piazza Forum. So if any of Roy, Deepa, or Jeff would like to jump in.
Hey Jeff, somebody wants to know if you're from Huntsville High School. So can we give you the floor, and also if you want to talk about, you know, something about what you do to recruit in your classrooms?
Okay, yes, I responded to that post. I definitely teach in Huntsville High School in Huntsville, Alabama. In fact, that's the high school that I actually graduated from, so I'm teaching at my alma mater. That's an exciting thing for me. In terms of recruiting, I think one of the things that I caught in Seth's presentation that I think is really, really meaningful is making that relational connection with your students. That's one of the best ways to build your program. So like I shared with you earlier, I started out teaching AP Computer Science A. That was how computer science made it back into our school, and basically it was a push to have more AP classes offered. And so they came to me and they said, you know, would you like to try to teach computer science? And I said, well, the last time I had computer science was Pascal 20 years ago when I was in college, but sure, I'll give it a shot. So I went to some summer trainings, got some really good background and support, started the class. So we had one computer science class with 18 kids. Then the next year, I thought, you know, if I'm going to teach AP Computer Science, it'd be really nice to maybe have a feeder class that would help do that. So I created kind of an intro course that I modeled after what the CS Principles course was, except for all I did was programming in different environments. I didn't do any of the extra stuff that the CS Principle course offers. And so I basically doubled the number of students I taught. I had 21 AP students, and I had about 18 CS Principle students. This year, as a year one pilot of the Alabama project for the CS Principles, I ended up with 50 computer science principal students and 52 AP Computer Science. So, you know, we've seen a growth from 18 students to 100 students in my school. Most of them, of course, are the boys. And so in working on broadening your recruiting band, I think what I'm learning is it's really, really important to make those relational connections with your students. Try to get involved in something outside of class that puts you in contact with students so they see you outside the classroom environment. Take that extra step to make the connections with the kids where they're at. You know, Seth talked a lot about, you know, puppies and meeting your target audience, and one of the things I'm going to be doing next year in a hope to attract more female students into our program is to collaborate with the elementary school and perhaps have some elementary classes write some fairy tales. We'll send the fairy tales up to my computer science class, and we'll use Snap or Scratch or App Inventor or something to animate those fairy tales, and then we'll take them back to the elementary school. I think that's a project that the females would enjoy developing, and it's more than just, you know, the boys like to make games, so it's more than just making a game. It's finding something that's impactful and important and that affects your community. And I think the more kinds of projects that you could do and keep records of what you do and take pictures of what you do and make that part of your advertising campaign, and I think that will help you grow your program in the way you want to. So that was some of the takeaways that I came out with from Seth's video.
Thanks, Jeff. Roy or Deepa, do you want to offer some thoughts from what you've seen this past week in Hangouts or with any of the Piazza discussions?
Roy, go ahead and take the floor, sir. Also, there has been a request that you speak a little loud, and maybe I have the same problem. Do you see me holding this thing? So maybe just hold it a little closer or something, because unlike me, you know, who I don't even have to speak through the mic, I can just talk in Georgia and you guys can hear in Alabama. I don't think that works with you, sir.
Jeff, just give me a thumbs up, thumbs down if you can't hear me or if I'm speaking too low. Okay, good. That's Jeff Baker. Okay. I'm on my Nexus. The problem I have is I'm still at school, and I can't get access to the Hangouts on the school system. They've got me blocked out. So I'm using my Nexus, my little tablet. I'm using my Samsung as a hotspot. So, yeah, this is probably about as good as I can go, but I'll speak as loud as I can. But I had a really good time last night on the Hangout. I got a few people coming in, as Deepa mentioned. One was from Bavaria, and that was really interesting. It's a wonderful thing that we can use this and offer this capability that it's not just here in Alabama, it's not just here in the United States, but we're broadcasting worldwide, and that's really, really awesome. Also, the fact is that we have a great expanse of interest in teaching computer science throughout our high schools, and that's what this is all about. And so I had really good discussions last night about the overall motivation of these teachers and what they wanted to do, and seeing the excitement of getting on board and being a part of this. And I think, as Deepa said as well, that I have made another time and such to accommodate maybe students who are outside, way outside our time zones, And so next Thursday, 11 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, I'll have a hangout for those students who maybe their time zones want to come in a little bit earlier. It was midnight in Bavaria, and she was very sleepy. But this is, I'm very excited to be a part of this. This is something that, this is why I became a teacher about 14 years ago. I came from corporate because I couldn't hire qualified computer science people to do the projects that I had to do. I got a guy from Pango. He's still with the Florida, you know, and it's just that we just didn't have anything. And I thought that the best place for me to recruit was be high school. And I teach here at Lamp High School. We have about 400 kids, and my enrollment is starting to go up. And I attribute that, and y'all were talking about recruitment before. I teach a career preparedness course. It's a brand new course offered by Alabama this year, mandatory for all freshmen. And so I was able to, this year, to get all of the freshmen in front of me. And then I was able to share with the freshmen the things that we were doing in computer science principles, the things that we were doing with App Inventor, creating Droid applications, the things that we were doing with Mindstorms, EV3 robots, and all kind of fun robots that we were doing, and the things that we were doing with Alice, the 3D video animation tool coming out of Carnegie Mellon and Randy Pausch. And I attribute that now to my enrollment being up somewhat for next year. The ladies, the girls in the course, they really seem to like creating things, imagination. I think that Jeff, he hinted about that, you know, and things with Snap and things with Alice and stuff, creating videos and showing them this is all part of programming. Plus the fact is, as career preparedness, I am able to tell the kids the importance of computer science. It's not just programming, but it's also a way of thinking. It's solving problems. It's coming up with solutions. It's building and creating a computational thinking mindset. And that's something that the wing paper there that Janine was talking about within that paper, the importance of that. And I was really happy to see a lot of the responses to the question, to the discussion about what careers do you see for a minor or for a major in computer science. And I really like to see those people that were coming up with, you know, art. They were coming up with business. They were coming up with other degrees, other careers besides networking, besides programming, because that's where computer science fits in. It fits in for everything. And yes, I would love for all of my kids to go into the field of computer science, but I tell them, if you want to be an engineer, if you want to be a lawyer, if you want to be a doctor, minor in computer science. Bring that knowledge with you, help you support and make your career a success. And so they seem to be listening to me. And so it's a great combination of career preparedness and computer science principles. I'm really enjoying it this year. And I'm enjoying, looking forward to working with all of y'all coming up this next summer. Could y'all hear me?
Perfect.
I heard you. Thank you. So Deepa, do you have some comments from throughout the week?
Sure. So of course, like Jeff mentioned, thank you. Thank you for making this such a vibrant community. We are 825 students strong and a very, very active community on the Piazza. We'll try to support you by answering questions that you put up as soon as possible. We have some sort of a policy in place for responses, as well as put up interesting questions that feed your thoughts, get you thinking, get you talking among yourselves. And certainly we appreciate those of you who have mentored the other teachers, because that's what this community is. We cannot support anybody if you do not help us support each other. Two things that I wanted to mention about my experiences with the piloting is it's still a pilot course. CS Principles in Georgia is a course with a course name by using state standards. However, at the national level, College Board is still working towards making this an AP course. It's not an official AP course till the year 2016-2017. So while this course is still taking shape, the curriculum is still taking shape, we're all figuring out what it is that makes the course successful. We're going to make mistakes. I remember the first year when I had to teach this, I was really nervous. Am I covering everything? Am I teaching it right? Am I confusing the students? Will I be doing anything wrong? But as I've done it, and I'm still nervous. As I walk into 2014, 2015, I'm still nervous. I'm still scared. And I'm still making a lot of mistakes. And it's almost embarrassing now, to make the mistakes after having taught it thrice. You would hope I had the curriculum down to pat, but I don't. Because, again, as I am talking to you folks who are experts, teachers, it's an art that we improve every day of our life. So it's never a done job. But having said that, please don't feel discouraged if you think you've made a mistake. Please don't be too nervous about saying, is this the right way to do it? There are certainly right and wrong ways, a lot of proven methods, and there's lots and lots of information that we are trying to post online through various NSF-funded projects. Look through them, get some ideas, email us, we'll help you. But please, if you make any mistakes, don't beat yourself up. Recruitment will happen, equity will happen, it takes time. Change takes time. Change is scary, but hang in there, and we're so excited that you guys are with us on board on this.
Yes, I'm also really excited, and thank you all for joining us. Deepa mentioned we have 830 folks registered for the course and around 375 or so on Piazza. So I think a lot of areas of the country are still in school. In the South, where we're at, we have schools out already. So I think we'll pick up with the community even more as we move through the month of June. And we'll leave all those lessons up on the web for you, or for the course site for you all to see. There's a few things I just wanted to mention. There was a post earlier about the mobile CSP MOOC, so that's coming up soon. You may want to check that out. We'll be talking more about that later when we hit the programming session. To prepare yourself for next week, and this was an early recommendation from a while back, go ahead and check out the first chapter of Blown to Bits. So that book is free, and when I teach my course at the college level, everything is free. So students love my course because they're not paying anything for any resources. And I mentioned on an earlier post, one of the things we're doing is teaching CS principles to secondary math ed students, so trying to pave the way for them to be future teachers in our state for CS principles. So go ahead and read the Blown to Bits, and that'll be the first thing that we'll get a lecture on Monday. We'll also be talking more about CS Unplugged. So if you would go to csunplugged.org and begin looking over that page. One of the mistakes I'll probably make is I'm recording the lectures a week or two ahead of time. So I'm right now just finished last week's lecture, or next week's lecture, so I kind of have to remember what I said on tape versus what I'm saying now. But CS Unplugged will be something we'll talk about over the next week, and then we'll move into the more intensive part of the course. But we keep saying that CS Principles is not about programming, and it's not the core focus, but we will spend some time on programming because we have a fair amount of teachers who've either not programmed in depth or need some refresher on that. So we will spend some time on that. I'll give you a kind of a sneak peek. If you've heard of the game Flappy Bird that was kind of discontinued, you're going to actually write a Snappy Bird. So you will actually write a little game at first, and we'll show some other ways you can create creative artifacts in programming. So again, please read the Blown to Bits Chapter 1. There'll be some other readings for that. And tonight, if you'll check, it may be hopefully mid-evening, could be a little later in the evening, we'll have the last version or last lesson of Unit 1. So I also wanted to say again how much we appreciate you all joining us. When I look back on my career, I think this will be one time where I really feel like this was a really kind of energizing moment, this course. So thanks for being a part of that. And there's a lot to do yet, and a lot of lessons to prepare, and some things we'll be working on with you, and we look forward to that. I just want to remind you what's happening in late June, early July. We'll take 2 weeks off. So we have a face-to-face meeting for our Alabama teachers, and we're planning to video record much of that. And that week will be focused on what's called the performance tasks of CS Principles. So you heard a lecture earlier by Brooke and Owen on performance. They briefly mentioned some of those topics of performance tasks. We're going to spend a whole week on that face-to-face with teachers, and we'll share some of that out to you. And then we'll take the whole week off of July 4th just to catch a breather there. And that will be a time where we probably pass off to you some kind of exercise that you can work on for your certificate. So I haven't been checking Piazza very well. I don't know if there's any questions that are really standing out that we want to address now. I will be spending some of the night trying to come back and answer some questions on this as well. So please keep the thread going. But I don't know if Deepa, Jeff, or Roy, do you see any questions that are emerging that we should try to talk about live here?
Yes, I have two. The first one, Roy, you already answered, but I think if you could just elaborate on it here. It seems to be definitely a very interesting topic, and I will post it as a separate discussion question. Robotics. What kind of role does robotics play in CS principles? Please, sir, yours.
I used the brand new EV3. I use EV3 in my class, and we're using the block version of the software there. It's very easy. Drag and drop, program the robots to do some really cool things in order to teach some concepts of programming and problem solving and that kind of thing. I take about 6 weeks or so, I guess, that is what I have set up for robotics. And whatever you can put within that time frame, as far as if you want to try to meet the requirements of STEM or something like that, it's about how much you can put into it. But, you know, the great thing about the principles class is it's very flexible in how you go about presenting the material that you want to. You're in charge, as long as you're covering the major components of it. We also do competitions. I'm the sponsor of the LAMP Computer Club, and we do robotic competitions with BEST. That's boosting engineering, science, and technology. They have a robotics competition using VEX robots. We also participate in VEX competitions, and I'm very happy to say that University of Alabama also has a robotics competition there that we love to participate in that as well. And so the kids really like to work with robotics. It helps them with engineering. It helps them with problem solving. And I include it with my class. Not every one of us do that. You have the flexibility to include whatever you want to do. But I like to do robotics.
Thank you. If it's okay with you guys, I'll take the question on the curriculum framework and the lesson plans. So Code.org is working very hard to get lesson plans around the CS Principles curriculum framework. We in Alabama group, we have been looking at it, reviewing it, giving them feedback as we have piloted the course. They're going to get it as soon as possible, and we really don't have an ETA for it. As far as should it be used for a first-time teacher, I strongly encourage you to take a look at it. There are tons of professional development training that's being offered, and ours is one. So take a look at the material that we are putting out. Take a look at the code.org material. Go online, do CS Principles search. Go to csprinciples.org. Look for other online material. Pick what works for you. It's ultimately your classroom, and whatever works makes you more empowered. There is really no set rule at this point. Over years, we are probably going to be able to tell you, just like the way Roy said, I used this and this was successful. But again, it's for you to figure out what works for you.
As far as what Code.org is doing, stay tuned. Maybe we could have them on a Friday session. So we'll certainly have some discussion with them. So there's 4 or 5 more Fridays coming up, and we'll have some special visitors, hopefully, for you to meet. Also, the College Board is developing teaching guides. If you're familiar with AP and other areas, there will be teaching guides coming out. We're working on one of those, and some others on the Piazza site are doing some of that. So Deepa's helping with some things with us too, and so that's coming up, and that will give you some more resources. If you haven't been to the CS10K community site, that's another place where there's a lot of resources. So I'm trying to remember actually if I've mentioned that yet in the lecture you've seen, or if it's one I've just recorded. So we will talk about that somewhere along the way, and I think some of you may have already been to that because we're getting some invites from on our CS4Alabama page. But that's also another resource, and there'll be a lot more going on with this community of practice on the CS10K community site. In future Friday Hangouts on Air, we may get a lot more technical. So this has been kind of a general introduction to the course, and we're hoping to actually get some technical questions when we move into some of that material, and we'll be prepared to help you answer some of that. Are there any more questions coming in? When will the teaching guides be released? I don't know yet, but stay tuned on a Friday, and maybe we can get a source to help answer some of that.
Jeff, there's a question on certificates. Hold on.
Right, so I see that now. So Kim has a question on certificates. Is there a way to keep track of our progress so we know if you're meeting the requirements? The only thing that we're recording, when you did the pre-survey, there was what's called the IRB, so we're doing a study just to try to find out what's the best way of teaching a MOOC. And the only things that we're recording are your pre and post surveys and the 2 assessments. So like a midterm and a final, if you could call them that. I'm not sure I'd really call them that. Excuse me. So those are the only things that we're recording. So the way that you can test whether you're achieving the goals of the certificate, I mean, the post that you make onto Piazza, you can just keep track of that yourself. There's no way for me to test or check on the activity. So when you take these 5 or so point questions at the end of each lesson, we're not recording that. It's all a self-check. It's just for your kind of benefit to see how you're mastering material. We're not recording it, so that's not part of the certificate. As far as this final assessment, you will know whether you achieve the 80% that we're looking for, and I believe we'll make it so you can even retake it. So if you're putting the effort in, you should be able to do that. And then we haven't discussed yet all the details of this performance, the subset of a performance task. But you know, we're not trying to overburden anybody, but there will be a little bit of work on that one, and just give you a feel for if you're going to teach this, what will be there. Now, one of the things I posted earlier on also just came to mind was some of the comments that Seth made about syllabus. So I agree it could be overwhelming to a student for a syllabus, but we are going to, at near the end of the course, provide to you what we think is a good syllabus and pacing guide for this course. Because even if you don't show that to your students, we think if you're teaching this for the first time, especially if you have a little experience with computer science, we think that will be pretty useful for you as you try to move forward and offer this course in your school. So I think, is there anything else coming up?
Yes, there was a question on the grades, and I think it'll be a good time to mention the performance tasks. Does anybody want to take that? Jeff Baker, Roy, Jeff?
I can take that. So one of the questions was asked, how do I grade my students? And this year, I graded 40% based on tests and quizzes, you know, the typical normal evaluation methods. I did 40% based on, I created little mini projects in labs, so I did labs and then whatever big projects we were working on, and that usually involved the 3 performance tasks that are listed within the curriculum. And then 20% was based on daily work that we did in class. You know, so I had little kind of benchmarks for what was going on in my expectations of what they were able to produce on a daily basis, and you know, kind of monitoring. And some of that was just effort based, another of that was you know, participation based. I might reevaluate that whole mathematical model next year and probably start counting the performance tasks a little bit more. I think when the course goes live as an AP course, the performance tasks won't be part of your graded course so much as it'll be a submission for their AP exam. But I want to incorporate that right now before it is an AP course as part of their grade. So when it goes live as an AP course, I will probably have in-class projects that will help train them to do the performance tasks, but that will be graded as part of a class grade. So that's kind of where I stand on the grading.
Here in Montgomery, we're forced to have a 65-35 split. 65 major grade, 35 minor grade, and so that's what my breakup is. I don't really have any say in that. We do have the 3 PBTs, the performance-based tasks, and those are major grades. I grade those as major grades for my kids. So that's the breakdown that we have here in Montgomery.
Okay. Let me just check if there's anyone see any other questions that are really generating some discussion. I'll come back through and make some. The challenge, like for us on the speaking side here, is trying to follow all of the discussion while we're trying to form some thoughts. So we'll come back through the evening and post some replies as well.
To elaborate a little bit on the grading, somebody asked if what kind of tests I'm giving. So that brings up an interesting question. So in my class, I used Scratch BYOB, and I also did some online text Java this year, which I probably won't do next year. But so I graded on those concepts, but also I graded on kind of a broader band of, you know, in the course we talked a lot about pseudocode and writing down steps that weren't really part of any programming language. So for the programming stuff, those were the types of questions. So I kind of alternated between the languages we were currently teaching in class, which would be applicable to anybody else's class. So those weren't really what I would call standardized questions that anybody could use, but they were just more specific to my classroom. But then I also incorporated some pseudocode questions because I wanted the kids to be exposed to the types of questions that anybody could ask them to assess their knowledge. So I think it's important in your course when you cover, however you cover programming and whatever platform you use, you also cover with the students a way to develop a language that you can talk about that is not specific coding platform specific. You know, and you can do that when you talk about loops and stuff like that, so you use kind of a pseudocode for that. The other thing, you know, when I'm grading on the projects, I have very specific objectives that I want them to be able to accomplish, so that's the kind of things I'm looking for when I grade that sort of thing. Our group came up with a set of standardized questions that we administered to everybody, so even though everybody in our project, which there were 11 of us, taught the stuff different ways, we had some sort of common assessment tools that we used for that.
I'm not sure what can be said at this point also, but the College Board is, I think there will be some kind of rubric, or you can expect that as what you see with other AP exams. So that's kind of in early phases, but I believe there might even be on the csprinciples.org site some sample. Deepa, do you know if that's still there? Is there some kind of rubric on the website? So in terms of grading, you can at least see what's in the mindset of. I think you're muted, Deepa. Can you?
Yeah. So the performance now rubrics are for the performance tasks, and there are 3 performance tasks as we've just discussed. And for those, the College Board has given us some sort of rubrics that can be used. At least it will give us some idea of what to expect from our students and what we need to teach them so that we can produce that kind of work. So the csprinciples.org website does have the rubrics.
Right. I'm looking at it right now. That was updated April 11th. It says these rubrics will not be used to score performance tasks for the piloters this year, but it gives you kind of an insight at least into what the College Board is moving towards that can be followed. So that's not, you know, there's a difference between scoring for your class and the grade you give to the students versus what the College Board will be looking for in terms of the 1 through 5. Well, yeah, go ahead.
There is one really good question, and somewhere we will address this and make it a textbook for the CSP course. I don't think there is any recommended textbook, but definitely there are lots of resources that are in the making, and definitely we can use a combination of books. Somewhere in Piazza we will start a thread which can collect all kinds of books from everybody across the country, and then you can start using that for your classroom. And I have it in my notes in my to-do list.
Well, I think Chris posted a list to one that has a lot of different suggestions, but they're not specific to CS Principles, so there's not really a CS Principles per se book, but there's a lot of things that are being drawn from different places that can be useful. So.
Yes.
But yeah, so archiving that or putting this link up, we'll certainly put this link up on our Piazza page as well. Okay, well, we're about 45 minutes after. I think I've covered most of the things I wanted to talk about, and I don't know if Roy or Jeff or Deepa have anything else to discuss. for this week? No. So what we'll do is we'll do this every Friday at 4 p.m. Eastern, and we will ask you to, same process. We will post the YouTube URL, and please don't post questions on the YouTube site, but instead post them on Piazza so we can archive the discussion. And we're actually, if there's a time when you can't make it, we will record this and you can watch it. I hope that doesn't mean that no one's watching it live anymore, but because that way you can get your questions answered more quickly through the live channels. But we'll also be recording this for some of those who can't make that time. So again, we'll be having some special speakers in the future. We'll begin Unit 2 sometime on Monday. We'll release the first lesson or so on that. Read Chapter 1 of Blown to Bits, and I'll get this final lesson out tonight on impact and opportunities. We'll wrap up Unit 1 in that point. Okay, well, thanks a lot, and I'm sure we'll be chatting a lot with you on Piazza. It's been great seeing the activity there. That's one of the true kind of joys of this week, was seeing the community kind of take over and be a live kind of way for people to interact. So thanks for that, and we'll check you out on there as well as live next week in Hangouts and hang on there. So thanks a lot for making this a great first week. Bye-bye.